Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to episode 159 of Down the Rabbit Hole. And today we're continuing on in the Utah area, and we're going to be talking about Salt Lake City and the legend of Lillian Gray. Um, now, I don't know much about Salt Lake City. I do know it's like the Mormon and polygamous capital of the world. Um, it is also hard to picture it not being known for something else. But it's also on my travel bucket list anyway because I've been told it is so gorgeous. There is a tombstone, however, in Salt Lake City that gets its fair number of visitors. And before I jump into that tombstone, if you're new here, hit that like button, ring that bell for notifications. Please subscribe, help a girl out. I am focusing more on my other podcasts now, so I'm trying to get episode 157 through 168 recorded so I can move on to my Dark Academia for Insomniacs, then focus on my True Crime podcast, and get some more podcast stuff done right in between. Now, with that being said, why don't I jump into today's episode? Because isn't that why you clicked on it? And you also probably want to see if I knew what I was talking about, right? Well, I also wanted to give you things straight. I do have a speech impediment. I am from the South. I was born and raised in Alabama. I currently live in Tennessee. So my Southern accent mixed with my speech impediment. Probably not the best combination, but who cares, right? Now, this tombstone in Salt Lake City is at Salt Lake City. This tombstone is at the Salt Lake City Cemetery, and it gets a number of visitors, despite the fact that few people know anything about this woman who was buried there more than 50 years ago. And the inscription on this tombstone reads, "Lilly Gray's headstone was made." Ha- Lily's Gray's headstone, and it literally reads, "Victim of the B666." Now, if you recall, I just got done talking about Devil's Highway. Yep. Now, it made her legend grow as well. Now, some people, like Alex McComb, grew up in the Salt Lake City area, and he learned about it his whole life. Now, him and someone named Emily also came to see, were one of the few who have come to see Lillian Gray. And according to the Historical Society, it gives a stream of questions about Lilly Gray as well. It was like she died of natural causes. However, another record of the state archives from 1947 was written by Lilly Gray's husband, Elmer, like the glue, suggests something else. And it indicates that his parents are both dead, died of grief when kidnappers murdered his wife. Now, Elmer Gray was in Utah State Prison. It is unclear why he is appealing to the Board of Pardons. Now, according to the documents, Elmer Gray indicates that he was kidnapped by 5 Democratic officials. Now, it makes you stop to think and actually wonder what the hell is happening right now. Well, the official record is that Lilly Gray stops there. However, there's also a mystery in another document that seems to have surfaced. Um, Mike Ellerbeck owns Salt Lake Monument, which has been making headstones for more than 100 years, including, you guessed it, Miss Lillian Gray's. And now, a relative when a relative stopped by years ago and made a note on her account. Now, Elmer was considered by Lily's parents to be quite a scoundrel, and the two would meet later in life. And Ellerbeck said that they had a special relationship, but it was also almost secretive. Now, she would die a few years later at the age of 77. And he's the one that ordered the marker. While it is not clear why he chose that for her headstone, Ellerbeck said that Elmer figured that the government was the beast. Sounds like a conspiracy theorist, if you ask me. Now, Lillian's family kept her away from her husband in the dying days, and while the Gray's family were laid to rest in the same cemetery, Elbeck said that the two were buried as far as from each other. And they were like two myths coming toward each other to unite against all odds. Now, on the east side of Salt Lake City, there is a beautiful 120 area cemetery. One that is the largest operated cemeteries in the U.S. and that has many family people buried there as well. It is also the gravesite of a Lilly Edith Gray, who has been interred there for 65 years. And it has drawn many people to the area as well. Now, according to her death certificate on June 4th, 1880, which is different from the date engraved in her headstone, she was born in Canada to Wilma and Francis Gray, who immigrated to the U.S. by 1900, and she was listed as living in Michigan on the 1900 federal census record. Not much else has been discovered about her life, but in the fact that she married Elmer Gray, who was her husband at the time of her death, and they were married on July 10th, 1952, when she was 72 years old. Her family was opposed to the marriage and did not like him. Of course, because if you don't like him, that's going to make them want to marry him even more, right? She's just a girl. Now, at the time of their marriage, Elmer had been out of prison for less than 5 years, using the alias Woodrow Lamb, and Gray committed burglary in several states, and his records from the list of charges of Nebraska, Missouri, Oklahoma, Colorado, and Utah. He served 11 years for his burglary, and he was released by the Utah State Prison on July 11, 1948. Now, another reason that Lilly's family was against the marriage was that of his mental health status. And at the time of his incarceration, Gray believed that he had been kidnapped by 5 Democratic officials, and he appealed to the board of pardons every year asking for his sentence to end as farce. Now, this was despite the fact that he pled guilty to the latest burglary charge and later appealed to board for pardons, dated March 15, 1947, and it gives insight into his state of mind. In his letter, he claims to have been in court in Utah and later that he never was sentenced by a judge. Instead, he was believed he was kidnapped and didn't commit any crime, and that the kidnappers were making sure he couldn't talk to his friends. Now, it seems that Elmer Gray could have been delusional. I think he was delusional. I think he was evading responsibility as well. Now, could these delusions have led to his request for the odd inscription of Lily's headstone? Well, her official cause of death, according to her death certificate, was a pulmonary embolus, renal insufficiency, and neurotic, nephrotic, um, nephrotic syndrome. She died at the hospital in Salt Lake City, and according to this article, some symptoms of her condition said that Lily life was extreme swelling and seizures, and that the author of the article suggests that Elma's delusional mindset he could have um believed those symptoms were the work of the devil. Now, Elma was able to physically and neurologically was also physically and neurologically suffering near the end of his life. He died a few years after Lily. He had a stroke, and that is believed to have been caused by Parkinson's disease. Now, symptoms say that he may be experienced advanced stages of Parkinson's, including memory problems, behavioral changes, and trouble sleeping. If Elmore was experiencing memory problems and behavioral changes, then it could have led him to believe that something nefarious killed Lily. Now, despite the logical explanations of the mysterious inscription of Lily's headstone, some people still believe that there are paranormal reasons for the word. And you can find articles about her final resting place on various websites. However, the memorial for Lilly Gray on findagrave.com, which was written by Carl W. McBrayer, remarks that at his time let Lilly to rest in peace. And he went on to remove the paranormal and spooky devilish speculations that was attached to it. But what do y'all think? Do y'all think? What do y'all think? How y'all think she died? I'm very curious. Of course, you can't comment because I feel like people have not learned their lessons yet, but that's okay. Um, I will say that we do have our next one is going to be the Voodoo Caves. Those are going to be fun. But that is it for this episode. I will see y'all next time. Y'all have a great day.